It is so well defined. What we have to do today, we got to go to work. We got to do.
Hey, everyone. It's Divisional Championship weekend. This season's almost done, Ryan. I can't believe this.
Yes, I know.
Oh, my God.
We got nothing. Then it's that really low part where you need a couple months. There's really nothing.
UFL,
but at least we got the Euro.
AFL.
We got the Euros. We got the Euros coming in the summer. So that'll be fun.
And the Olympics, it's a year
Olympics.
Sport.
There you go. Yeah, but
March Madness.
We're Canadian. I like the Winter Olympics better.
Curling.
But I've now realized how in the minority I am with people liking the Winter Olympics.
Oh no,
which I think is the far superior Olympics, but apparently I'm the only one who thinks
more violence. Aside from there's boxing in the summer, but there seems more violence. Which I like the hockey and the shooting. Hey, you get the shooting. There is shooting at the Olympics this year, but we got NFL. We'll get a focus on the positives. Good news out of Vegas, obviously. No longer interim head coach, Antonio Pierce, head coach. So it's nice to have a man of color, obviously being a head coach, but one who obviously deserves it. It's not sort of this Rooney rule. Players love him. Everyone loves him. He got the wins. He made Vegas scary to play against. So good for him. Good news.
Well, he made the defense. The offense had one game where they threw 0 yards, but it was more of I think this was just more of a kind of like what they had to do with the last interim coach, Rick Bisaccia, who brought him to the playoffs, and they got rid of him for Josh McDaniels. And I think Max Crosby, he was one of the vocal leaders. He's like, if you don't hire him, trade me. And I think when players like that, Devontae Adams, all the kind of leaders of the team are like, get this guy, then you kind of have to, right? Because I think the Raiders also are paying. They're still paying Gruden. They're paying McDaniels. So go with it. They probably need a cheap coach, to be honest with you. They probably wouldn't be able to afford Harbaugh.
Yeah.
But the main thing I think with him now is he has to really nail the offensive coordinator position, because that's where the Raiders really struggle. Like he can, so he doesn't have to focus on that. He's going to be able to focus on, being the leader and the defense. He can help that, but they really got to hit it on that offensive coordinator, because that was the problem with that team last year.
Yeah, and quarterback
play and quarterback. What are you going to do?
Stidham's not going to lead you to the promised land.
Don't really know if this is a great hiring, but listen, if the team loved him, they fought for him. We'll have to just see how the results are next year. But good for him. It's good.
Mike Tomlin, obviously,
Raiders. He kind of breathes Raiders.
Oh yeah, he's old school. He's an old school Raider, and he plays old, and that's I think what the fans like as well. Even if it's in Vegas now, the diehard Raider fans, he's got that energy you want, that sort of anger, Also, Mike Tomlin, he's his fire says intensified. He expects an extension on his contract, which obviously Pittsburgh. He's the only reason I think that team made it as far as they did, is the will and tenacity and bulging eyes of Mike Tomlin.
Well, yeah, he's got 1 year left, I think, on his deal. So I don't know if he'll extend. I think it's like with any job, you could be there too long. Right. Yeah. And he's maybe just seeing kind of other people getting a second chance at this, and seeing Belichick do this and getting all he's been with the same thing. No one's finding him on trying to woo him.
I would love him. The Bears, any team I think would kill for Mike Tomlin.
And I think it's right now, I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see Tomlin just maybe take a year off after this and then come back. Kind of like Sean Payton did, coaches, because coaches are now seeing what they can leverage and what kind of money they can make as well.
It's a coach's market. Yeah, you're right.
How desperate teams are for a good coach. So
yeah, he could be on the Pat McAfee show, Yeah.
Yeah, just spewing. Just gone down.
Oh, he'd be great. He'd be great as a pundit. Amazing.
Getting plays sent to him from 4chan.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So we've got the divisional championships this weekend. Also, you check the Metropolitan Weather Office near you, folks. If you haven't seen, the transit strikes aren't this week, they're next week. But the big weather warning across for the UK this weekend. So watch if you're traveling. 80-mile-an-hour winds are saying across the UK. So if you are traveling this weekend on Sunday night, particularly, that's when the weather is going to be nasty. It's going to be nasty for a lot of teams, because a lot of teams are going home. They're going to Cancun to hang out with Dak if they lose in this one. And we'll start with the first game, which is Houston 11-7. They're going into Baltimore 13-4. Baltimore obviously has had some time off, maybe a little rusty. CJ Stroud, a little bit banged up in terms of their team. They've had some injuries, but they've gotten themselves to this place, putting on a beating last week against Cleveland. But Baltimore's also been dominant. They're 9.5-point favorites in this one. 43.5 is the over-under. It's going to be in Baltimore. Going to be crappy weather, probably. Is there any way Houston can beat these Baltimore Ravens?
I don't. Yes, there's multiple reasons because number one, you have Baltimore, who literally haven't played a real competitive game in about 3 weeks. And this is kind of similar to what happened to them in 2019. I think they had Lamar winning the MVP, number 1 seed, had a bye, and then they came out and they got whooped by Tennessee. And now except this time you're coming in with like the hottest quarterback, just this team that just has no fear in him. And Lamar's the one with all the pressure, right? Because there's always been, playoff Lamar that he's struggled. He hasn't been able to win consistently in the playoffs. And if he goes down and CJ Stroud comes in, throws around, he loses this game, there's going to be a lot like, again, he'll be fine because he'll win the MVP. Yeah. Like Lamar's not going to lose his job or anything. But those little whispers, they'll keep coming in the same way with Josh Allen if he loses to Mahomes. Like these are big games for quarterbacks today for like their legacy in a lot of ways. And I think I like Baltimore to win. I think they will win. I just think that 10.5, it's like 9.5.
It's 9.5, yeah.
9.5, yeah. Lamar hasn't been really good against the spread, like covering big spreads. I think this year he's barely covered any, if at all. So I just think this is too much. I really like just the way Houston's defense has been playing. Like they've just been really kind of forcing, like just those, again, you're playing Flacco, but you can force turnovers with Lamar. That's the one thing. He does get a bit sloppy. You can get the fumbles, especially if it's going to be wet. There could be drops. The thing that I just want to say, like everyone else, is just how far can CJ Stroud keep doing this? Like, is he going up against a great defense? And now this is the weekend where it just gets put to an end. The death blow.
Well, I mean, it's hard to write this kid off. Like, I mean, I would say even in betting, I would say he goes over 300 yards. That's the way he's been chucking it around. It's going to be obviously Baltimore's defense, which is really fierce. You have to wonder though, with the amount of time they've had off, sort of playing. I could see Houston coming out early, getting some points before Baltimore's like, oh crap, we got to win this. And it's going to be how they respond, because if Houston does come out firing and they're up, just like they were with Cleveland, if they're up 17 points or something like that, what does Baltimore do? Obviously, they have the talent to be able to do it, but you got a team, as you say, that's hot. And if Baltimore comes in cold and it takes them a while to warm up, that's what to me is going to be sort of one of the big factors, is how quickly can Baltimore play into this playoff game. The defense is fierce. We know that. We know that they can make the adjustments, and they're the number 1 D. If they put the pressure on, if they're able to shut down his targets and shut the running game down and make him scramble for his life, then Stroud's in for a real problem. I mean, it's in week 1 they put a beating on him, and if they're able, obviously he was sacked 5 times in that game. That could be an issue because they are a sack fiesta team. That being said, though, but we saw the Cleveland last week with their defense, and everyone's like, "Oh, Cleveland, this defense, Stroud's never played that," and he just picked them apart. So again, I think you're right in that the first 10 minutes are going to be so key on what happens. Like if Baltimore gets the ball and they just go down the field, Lamar throws a touchdown, they're like, okay, they're ready. It's kind of like the same way with San Francisco. Like, how are they going to look? Are they going to come out right off and just kind of run it down throat and be like, all right, we're the number 1 seed for a reason? They come out, go 3 and out. Stroud comes in, touchdown. It's going to be it's going to be a bit of squeaky buttholes, as they say over here. Squeaky bumhole time. Squeaky bumhole. The squeaky butthole. That's, it's going to be that sort of key, and it's going to be the pressure that Baltimore is how they're able to rally this defense. The other thing too was the ability of the Texans, the picks that they had. Their defense was also good. So Lamar also, if there's an issue, he's got to watch out in terms of his throw. I think, though, when it comes down to it, Baltimore just seems to be more well-rounded, and it comes down to the Texans obviously have had some injuries throughout the season. Baltimore seems to be healthy. They've got everyone, aside from Mark Andrews, who would have been nice, but the fact that he's not playing and it gives them an extra amount of time, if they do win, that'll be dangerous because he's Lamar's favorite target. For myself, I'm just erring towards Baltimore in this one, just because I think that I would take bets that first quarter that the Texans cover the spread or have the lead, whatever that is, I would take them in the first quarter. But I would take Baltimore to win this one. I do have Baltimore to win. I have them to win 27-20.
That's exactly what I had. That's exactly the same score. Yeah, I was going to go Baltimore 27-20. Yeah, I think it's a good spot. I think they're going to have a chance maybe like at the end to come back and tie it, and Baltimore's defense will step up and make a big play. I think that's how I see it. Kind of.
But I could also see it being 20-3 for Houston at the half.
Yeah.
And Baltimore just turns it on at home because you don't want to have that a crowd hating you. We are talking about the rust and the best to bust. Green Bay 10-8, San Francisco 12-5. San Francisco 9.5 point favorites. 50.5 is the over under. These two have a legacy against each other. 10 postseason appearances against each other. 5-4 in favor of San Fran in this one. Jordan Love, though, I was a Bears fan. I gotta give credit. This kid he played up and down football. But then he's also just plays like a steamroller some games. Plays, QBR rating huge, but just has really good awareness and is able to dissect the field. And what they've been running, or some of the schemes they've been running, mix and match, shake and bake. It's kind of good when you see it, and you're just like, they're going to score because they're messing up the defenses. Are they able to mess up the San Francisco 49ers, though? That's the big question. San Fran has had some time off. 9.5 points, though. They're at home. Green Bay. You're a cheesehead loving trader.
I am a cheesehead admirer because of what I watched last week. I think if I'm Green Bay and I get that kickoff, I win the toss, I'm going for the ball and going right down the field trying to. I know most people defer, but the way Green Bay's been playing, especially just right off like how good they looked on that first drive last week. Like if you want to just go in and just silence the crowd, I think when you're on the road, I think that's the strategy. Yeah. Like you go in, like it happened to Buffalo last year with Cincinnati. They just walked right down the field, 7-0 down, 7-0 down. 5 minutes into the game, and you're like, oh shit. And then again, you cause the other team to get a bit more antsy. And again, you have Brock Purdy. This is his first playoff game, technically. Yeah. He did start the other one, but he got knocked out of it in the first quarter, and it was a disaster. So we've never really even seen playoff Brock Purdy before. This is technically his first one, with the pressure of being the number one seed going up against the hot team. Again, I think 9.5. Is it 9.5 at this one?
9.5, yeah, 9.5. Just like
again, I just think it's too much. I think if I'm a Green Bay fan, the thing that worries me the most is McCaffrey. Green Bay can get run on, and McCaffrey has just been like almost untouchable when he's been back there. He's been incredible. The thing that if you're San Fran, you're just worried about like an injury because that's just the luck you've had.
Yeah,
just trying to kind of get through this game. I don't know. I could see Green Bay pulling off an upset. I'm going to pick San Francisco, but I could definitely see Green Bay pulling off an upset. I think this one is going to come down to the wire. I do think there's a chance one of either Stroud or Jordan Love is going to pull off the upset. I don't know which one because I just think San Fran just has this weird playoff juju thing. They just haven't been able to close it. But I'm going to pick it to be a very close game, 27-24 Niners. Last second field goal.
I mean, look, you talk about the juju. I mean, it's their 6th straight NFC divisional round, appearance. Their San Fran to me is battle hard. This is where they'd step up, and this is where the coaching happens. The rust, as I say, will be worrisome. But the other thing is, too, it comes down to coaching. I think Shanahan, obviously, everyone watched the game last week. And San Fran has been taking notes, Dallas, I don't think, was taking notes. Dallas wasn't prepared. I think Dallas came in, they were playing it like a regular season game. They weren't playing like they needed to win. And San Fran, I think, is going to have a plan for this one. I could see Jaden Reed having a good game, though. As you say, it is in the Packers' best interest to score early, and they have that ability. They do have these mix-up plays.
Set the tone.
Yeah, and they do have these mix-up plays where they're shifty, shaking bacon at the line. You're like, okay, and they mix it around. They confuse, and sometimes it takes a good coach and defensive coaches to recognize it and go, okay, here's how we stop that. Because once you put enough pressure on Jordan Love, and San Fran has that, he's in a lot of trouble. And that offensive line has been playing very good for Green Bay, but this is a big test because this is San Fran is coming. McCaffrey to me is, as you say, the key to this. He is going to run, and Green Bay is not going to be able to stop it. It's going to be relentless. If he's not doing it, it's going to be something to Debo. It's going to be something to Ayuk. They'll be mixing it up. I'm sure, just like Green Bay, that they've got some plays that they watched last week. They've had enough time. I think San Fran's ready. They're at home in this one. Meth heads will be in the corner. I've got San Fran win at 35-21. 14-point victory. And San Fran pouring it on in the second half. Easy win for San Fran as they move on. Moving on. It's to Sunday Fun Day, everyone. And you'll be able to watch this game because unlike the other two games, which are 9:30 on Saturday night and 1:30 Sunday morning, this one is 8 o'clock. The first one, 8 o'clock on Sunday night in the UK, 3 p.m. in the Eastern Standard Time. Tampa Bay, you Baker Mayfield. They're 10-8. And they're coming and visit a Detroit team who escaped a lucky win last week against the LA Rams. They're 13-5, technically, with the record. 6.5-point favorites of this one. At home, in a dome. Eminem will be there. 48.5 points is the over-under. Baker has been playing good football.
Kid Rock will be there. Will Kid Rock be there? That's the real question.
Kid Rock will probably be there. He'll be selling beers and shooting them.
He'll be shooting Bud Lights behind you.
Yeah. That'll be the halftime show. Yeah, come on, kid, you can do it. First appearance, first win for the Detroit in 32 years in the playoffs. But this one is going to be tough. I mean, they played each other before. It was a low-scoring affair. But Detroit beat them in the regular season. How do you like Tampa's chances here facing this Detroit team?
I don't really. I don't. Just because I think Tampa literally their game against Philly, they had probably the worst week one opponent because you just went up against a team that was already laid down to die. It was just awaiting death. It felt like. And I just don't think it was going to be if I'm a Bucs fan, it wasn't like this amazing. You were at home, you played a Philly team that literally has nothing left in the tank, and now you got to go on the road to this place that was absolutely just roaring. That place was loud. The dome, that offense is fast. Jahmyr Gibbs is looking good, and I just think it's just a weapons thing. I think Baker's had a really good year, and he solidified himself. Had that big playoff game, but I don't know. I think asking him to now go on the road, which I don't see Baker being this kind of guy who can go in the divisional playoffs on the road and just kind of pull off a win. Mm-hmm. At least with Goff, he's been there, right? He's been to a Super Bowl. He's played in these big games. They know they're home. They got a chance, that they'll even know if there's a chance Green Bay pulls off the win, that they're playing home field next week for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So there's all these kind of cool things that could be going on. I think Dan Campbell's going to have the seat pumped. That place is going to be loud. I think Baker's going to struggle, and that defense is going to be able to get to him because the thing about Detroit is they're able to get pressure on Aiden Hutchinson. Is going to make Baker's life a bit of hell, I think, and it's going to be really tough for him. He's had a good year, but I think it stops here, and I think Lions win pretty easy. I'm going to go 31-21. Nice 10-point win.
Yeah, I was going back and forth on the scores here. The one thing that Tampa does, though, in their defense, they choke people down to like low scores. And I was going high in this one. I thought Detroit would score a bit. And I just man, these guys have played each other before. Tampa limited them to 20 points. So I do have Detroit to win, but I think it's going to be a slow game. I think it's going to be one of these sort of back and forth, kind of defensive, kind of minded ones. And Tampa sort of fighting for their life in this one. Sort of python versus alligator kind of thing. I've got Tampa to lose. Obviously, I've got it 23-12. I've got it hit the under in this one. I just went back and forth. For some reason, I just think they're just going to punch each other, and Tampa's going to make it tough for Detroit. But Detroit will win in the end. Tampa's going to do everything they can to shut down all of Detroit's tools. And, if Mike Evans can find some room, or Godwin up the middle, it's going to give Baker a fighting chance. So there's going to be that. And I think they'll keep him in range. Detroit will shut him down in the red zone. It'll be field goals. I just feel this is going to be slow and ugly, 23-12. And slow and ugly, also what I'm looking for in my dating profile. Oh, man. Now we get to the one where Ryan is going to be fretting because his defense has been shredding. Hey, Kansas City is coming into this one, and they seem to have Buffalo's number, but this time they're playing in Orchard Park, playing in Highbury Field, playing wherever in Buffalo, whatever they call that stadium now.
Hallmark Stadium.
Hallmark Stadium, like a Hallmark movie. It's always covered in snow, and there's romance.
It's being nicknamed the Pit, apparently.
The Pit from Highmark.
The famous story about that a Bills fan fell into the pit, and that we have not lost since. So every week we sacrifice someone to the pit. And it will be my Monday morning. I will be sacrificing to the pit. Because I am going to be staying up at 11:30 to watch this bad boy.
11:30.
It will be a fathering on Monday. It'll be a TV day for my children. Why don't we watch TV for 9 straight hours today?
Just like we used to have movie days on Fridays when the teacher, let's watch a movie, everyone.
I'm gonna wheel in an old TV and just plug it in, put it
on the stand,
put on a VH. Yeah.
Just keep adding things to your special coffee.
Exactly.
Kansas City, Patty Mahomes, man, it seems to have their number. Now, let's look at Buffalo has been depleted. You're trying to get some of your guys back, but the defense, took a beating again last week. And it looks like Gabe Davis is also not going to be playing. Rapp as well. And Kansas City, their defense is keeping them alive. They've struggled. They got a good win against Miami, but they're coming into Buffalo. And man, this game makes me nervous. And I know you're a Buffalo fan.
Yeah,
I can see so many different scenarios. This is a multiverse game,
Yeah.
It's annoying in many different forms.
It's everything they've been setting up for since 13 seconds happened a few years ago. This is what they've always wanted, Kansas City in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And now you're playing the weakest version of that Kansas City team, offensively, not defensively. It's the best defensively. But this is what you've all wanted. This is what you've all played for. And Kansas City Mahomes in his whole career has never played in Buffalo. He played in the 2020 year where there were no fans. So he's never even played in front of Bills Mafia. That place is going to be nuts. I am terrified because there's lots of, like you said, the injuries. I think some of them are going to come back. Like Rasul Douglas will be back. Terrell Bernard should be in, but may be back. We don't really know. He's a game time decision. But to me, Gabe Davis isn't a massive loss. I think Khalil Shakir's really stepped in to be that second option. Dalton Kincaid looks good. Again, Buffalo has everything in their sights. They got the home. They got the better offense. They don't have the better defense. And this is for Josh Allen. He needs this. He's beaten Mahomes 3 straight times in the regular season, but hasn't beaten him in the playoffs. So I am obviously going to pick Buffalo, but I do not feel even remotely good about it because everything about just putting Mahomes in a corner terrifies me. The thing especially is how good he's been this year at scrambling for first downs. The thing that killed the Bills, or kills every team when you watch Mahomes, is that just ability on 3rd and 8 to get that first down running. He does it all the time. It's just you can't get to him. So Buffalo's got to find a way to stop that from happening, because I think you can, even with the way Rice has been playing, Kelsey's still there. against Miami, they were beaten up and they couldn't get in the end zone. They kicked 4 field goals in the red zone. They just could not punch it in. And I think the fact that this is in Buffalo, it's going to be loud, it's going to be hard. I'm going to go with the Bills to win 24-21. A nice little close battle, but I don't feel good about that. Do not hold me to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Mahomes, as you mentioned, he's got that Brady ability. Yeah. When the playoffs come, man, he tunes it up. And he sniffs out that first down yard line. He just knows. And just that baseball ability of his to shuffle the ball off and find guys. He doesn't have some, Travis Kelce obviously is old dog, not running as fast. He's still getting it. Rice, as you say, Buffalo needs to cover him because he's getting 100 yards a game with Mahomes now. So, Buffalo's really going to have to try to find a way to shut him down. Not having Davis, not having that ability for Buffalo. I worry about these injuries because it's that rally back ability that if Buffalo needs to punch back or stop him, and if your defense is hurt like that and not being able to get that pass rush on him is going to give him more time to just do his crazy little stuff we love and you love and we love to hate. Taylor Swift is apparently going to be staying at the Comfort Inn because that's Buffalo's 5-star hotel.
Yeah. Holiday Inn, she's getting a free continental breakfast.
Well, the pool's open at 8 a.m. Bring the kids. Man, I can see this going so many different ways, but I do have Buffalo to win it. I've got it 26-23. 3 points.
Yeah, it's no way it's going to be a beatdown. I think it's just, to me, it's just Josh Allen just has to win this. Like, he can't just just in the way the world is today, it's not like different because back in the old days of Brady versus Manning, which this is like considered being like the new version of, like Brady dominated Manning for a while. Yeah. I think he won like 6 straight or something against him. Manning couldn't do it until he finally was able to. But this is the weakest the Chiefs have been. They lost to the Raiders in December. They still haven't looked great. Like as good as they looked last week, they were playing an absolute defeated Dolphins team that had nothing left in the tank. After their collapse. So I just think, I really hope that this is a true equalizer because it's kind of intriguing, crazy that Mahomes, after all these games and all these, has never played a road playoff game. And that's just wild to think of.
It's a testament to how good they've been and how dominating they've been. I think, the big differential here is going to be that Buffalo fans, that noise, because on third down, to have them, having him to call a timeout, that's, or throwing a frozen dildo. Or go to
silent count, go to a silent count. They're going to have to figure out ways. That crowd is going to be nuts. It's going to be the wildest it's been in Buffalo in a long time. Especially with the late start, 6:30, they're going to be.
Yeah, and sound, the way sound travels in cold, it's going to be sort of frigid. I mean, look, Mahomes is still a good cold weather quarterback. We know that because he's got the lineage in Kansas City. But yeah, it's, to me, this is, if this was in, Kansas City, in Missouri, I could see it obviously a different way, but in Buffalo, I'm going with the Bills. That's it for our picks, everyone. Oh my gosh, then it's only conference championships and then it's Super Bowl. We've got 8 teams playing this weekend. There'll be 4 that we discuss in our picks podcast next week. But of course, Ryan and I will chew it all down in our next podcast. Everyone, thanks for listening so much. Enjoy the games this weekend and happy betting to you.